What happens when the environment around you changes, but you're still expected to perform? Budgets shrink, expectations rise, resources disappear, recognition changes, the rules shift, and suddenly, the effort that once felt meaningful starts feeling harder to sustain. You begin to wonder, does any of this even matter? Why keep giving so much? What's the point if the goalposts keep moving? In seasons like this, the greatest risk isn't just burnout. It's losing touch with the person you intended to be. If you're navigating uncertainty, disappointment, or constant change lately, this conversation is for you.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Office Optimism with me, Shirala. This is a space for high performers, leaders, and ambitious professionals navigating growth, pressure, and uncertainty with clarity, intention, and grounded optimism. Today, we're talking about something many people are experiencing right now, the challenge of staying connected to who you are when everything around you seems to be shifting. Because change is difficult. But constant change, constant uncertainty, constant adaptation, that requires a different kind of resilience. Not just the ability to keep moving forward, but the ability to keep being yourself while you do. So let's jump in with what really happens when the rules keep changing. Most people can handle hard work. Many people can handle high expectations. And surprisingly, people can even handle a significant amount of pressure. What becomes exhausting is unpredictability. When expectations change, when priorities shift, when success is defined differently than it was yesterday, when resources decrease but demands remain the same, research on workplace stress consistently shows that uncertainty consumes significant mental and emotional bandwidth. When people lack clarity about expectations, outcomes, or stability, the brain works overtime, trying to anticipate and prepare for every possible scenario. And that effort is exhausting, not because people are incapable, but because uncertainty itself is mentally expensive. Many workplaces are experiencing this right now. Teams are adapting, leaders are adjusting, employees are recalibrating. And beneath it all is a question that often goes unspoken. How do I keep showing up when everything keeps changing? And when uncertainty becomes the backdrop of everyday life, something interesting starts to happen, not just around us, but within us. So let's talk about that next, the temptation to become smaller. When people experience ongoing uncertainty, disappointment, or shifting expectations, there's often a temptation to pull back. Not because you stop caring, but because you're trying to protect yourself. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you felt it. The thought sounds something like, why go above and beyond if it won't be recognized? Why give more when the outcome feels the same? Why keep investing so much energy? These aren't signs of laziness. They're signs of discouragement. And discouragement often disguises itself as self-protection. Research on motivation suggests that people are more engaged when they believe their effort has a meaningful connection to outcomes. When that connection feels unclear, motivation naturally begins to erode. Not because people have changed, but because their belief in the process has. And that is where danger begins. Because over time, disappointment can convince us to become smaller than we were meant to be. But beneath every frustration, every disappointment, and every moment of uncertainty, there is often a deeper question. A question that has very little to do with circumstances and everything to do with identity. Who do you want to be in this season? When circumstances feel unstable, it's natural to focus on what we cannot control. The decisions, the policies, the ratings, the opportunities, the outcomes. But while those things influence us, they do not fully define us. There is another question available. Who do I want to be in this season? Not when things get easier, not when conditions improve. Now. Research on values-based behavior shows that people experience greater psychological resilience when their actions remain aligned with their core values, even during periods of uncertainty and stress. Why? Because values create stability when circumstances do not. When the environment shifts, your values become an anchor. Your integrity, your professionalism, your compassion, your commitment, your purpose. These are all things that uncertainty cannot take from you, unless you hand them over. And this became very real for me just this week. Recently, I applied for a leadership professional development program that I was genuinely excited about. I put myself out there, I invested the time, I submitted the application, and then I received a non-select notification. Honestly, it was disappointing. Not because I believed the program would define me, but because rejection has a way of making us question ourselves. For a moment, my mind started creating stories, like maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm not as qualified as I thought. Maybe there's something wrong with me. And while I didn't stay there, I'd be lying if I said that those thoughts didn't show up. What helped me, though, was to move forward, realizing that a single outcome could not be allowed to rewrite my entire story. That decision did not change my purpose, it did not erase my experience, and it did not diminish my value. And it certainly did not eliminate the work that I still feel called to do. So I took a breath, I reset my focus, and I got back to work. Not because the disappointment disappeared, but because I refused to let that disappointment decide who I would become. And I think that's the choice many of us are facing right now. Not whether circumstances will change, but whether those circumstances will change us. So let's not let those circumstances decide who we become. The environment around you may change, but you still get to decide who you will be within it. You can be disappointed without becoming defeated. You can be uncertain without becoming cynical. You can be frustrated without abandoning your values. You can even experience rejection without questioning your worth. And you can continue contributing even when recognition feels inconsistent. Because your character should not have to depend on favorable conditions. In fact, character often becomes most visible during difficult times. The goal is not to ignore reality. The goal is to stay grounded within it. So how do we stay connected to ourselves when the environment keeps shifting? Let's close with a few practical reminders. This is how to stay grounded during uncertain times. 1. Return to what you control. Focus your energy on your effort, your attitude, your preparation, and your contribution. Those things still belong to you. 2. Let values lead when outcomes feel unclear. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be in this season? Then let that answer guide your actions. 3. Don't make permanent conclusions from temporary conditions. A difficult season is not necessarily a permanent reality. Be careful not to turn a moment into a life sentence. 4. Protect your identity from your circumstances. You are experiencing uncertainty. You are not uncertainty. You are experiencing disappointment. You are not disappointment. You are experiencing change. You are not change. There's a difference, and it matters. Here's your joyful point. When circumstances feel uncertain, return to what remains true: your values, your character, your purpose, and your ability to contribute. Because the environment may change, but you do not have to lose yourself with it. Let that steady you. We've now made it to the Office Optimism focal point. If this conversation resonated with you, like, subscribe, and share it with someone navigating uncertainty, disappointment, or change. Sometimes people don't need another strategy. They need a reminder that they can remain grounded even when everything around them feels unsettled. The environment around you may continue to shift. The rules may change. The outcomes may not always feel fair. But your greatest power has never been controlling every circumstance. It has always been choosing who you become within them. Keep showing up, keep contributing, keep trusting yourself, and keep shining. Bye-bye.